When it comes to chicken, I'm your guy.
Blinking.
I'll have what Joseph's has.
Look, somebody's talking about you.
This is what we call the voice of God.
Popping.
Everybody just gets to focus on you.
Grab me.
Probably not the best thing for an introvert.
I'm asking for you.
Well, I like a good chicken sandwich.
Touch me. Hi, David. Comment.
Oh my God.
Like.
You're actually an identical twin.
Push.
Maybe I'll just ask Julie to talk about what it is to be
No.
an identical twin.
Pick me up.
No, you didn't.
Shouting.
Surprise! Jeremiah, just hang on a second. I just got a text.
There's an edit for your new opening, Joseph.
I feel really honored to have been here, man.
But by the way, you've done a masterful job. Seriously.
It was such a joy.
Thanks, Joseph. It's an honor.
Good on you. This was a pleasure.
I mean, you are the prime example of how to pivot in this new environment.
I wish everybody gets an opportunity to interact with Joseph Jaffe and Corona TV.
Who needs Cameo when I've got my own personal Cameo? Welcome, everybody, to CoronaCocktails. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, it's 5 o'clock right here. And I actually am excited because not only am I standing at a CVS right now, maybe getting my flu shot, but I'm actually seeing my guest today, and I didn't even get a chance to make sure that I was pronouncing his last name correctly in my Afrikaans or my faux Dutch. Norm De Greve, De Greve, something like that. No, he's giving me thumbs up, but not only is he giving me thumbs up, he is now giving me 4 thumbs up because Norm, your other picture came on, so we might have to bring both of you on. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but finally the clouds opened up, the sun shone, and now we have you in stereo. So we might have to decide which one we prefer. So I can see both of you, and you look great. And I can't wait for you to come on the show. We've got a few really nice comments. Of course, my mom is here because, it wouldn't be Corona TV without my mom cheering me on. And Rex commented and he said, I so wish I could have made this. I think you did make this because you're kind of commenting right now. Keep doing what you're doing, Joseph. Really love Corona TV. And I really love you as well. So thank you so much. All right. Let's get into it. Today is National Inner Beauty Day, which is great for someone like me. They told me I had a face for radio, and now I understand what inner beauty is all about. That's why I did Corona TV, to prove everyone wrong. But let me tell you something. Somebody that absolutely does not have a face for radio, someone who has inner beauty and outer beauty, is my guest today, Norm De Greve. De Greve. I've got to do it in my Dutch. I'll get better. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at CVS Health, and I'm super excited to talk to him. He comes, you'll find out about his bio, but I see he worked at Digitus as well. So he's a digital agency guy just like me. So that's awesome as well. Norm joins our Super 8. Obviously, if you've been following an amazing episode yesterday with Ivan, we were both doing Monty Python impersonations. Frank Cooper was on Monday. Manos Spanos was last week. And then tomorrow, I'm excited to welcome Essie Bracey, CMO at Unilever United States. And after Essie on Friday, we have our Corona Community Show, which is basically the best of our Zoom after show regulars as well. Not just the best, a handful of them, as well as previous guests. So I will have 9 guests plus me equals 10. Each person will have the floor for 5 minutes. They'll introduce a topic and then we'll all discuss. And the last one was just incredible. I mean, incredible. It was serious, it was intense, it was emotional, it was funny. That's just what you would expect on Corona TV. As a reminder, I'll be giving away a complimentary pass every day. I've forgotten to check who subscribed to the newsletter or to the show yesterday. So I will not forget you. I will be giving away a pass a day. And I guess I'll announce them tomorrow. You can do that by subscribing to the show, bit.ly/Corona TV subscribe, or you can subscribe to the show's newsletter by texting the word Corona TV to 66866, or go to josephjaffe.com/subscribe. So very quickly, just want to wish happy birthday to Neil in Trader, to Shelby Saville, to Robert Schlossberg and Evan Gordon, both celebrating their 50th birthday today. And I know this because Facebook told me. So if you didn't want your age divulged, then you shouldn't have put your birth date on Facebook. And of course, to Lydia Sugarman as well. And then to Lars, Adam, Rashani, Danish, etc. on LinkedIn. Happy birthday to you. Well, let's get into the seated soliloquy. And the seated soliloquy, as you know, is always connected to my guest in some way, shape, or form. Why am I going so quickly? Why am I talking so quickly? Because it is Corona Cocktails, and I want to get to my Mealist Rubicon, the pride of South Africa. Norm, I hope you've brought your adult beverage, your cocktail. Yeah, he's showing it to me. He's got some wine. He's got some red wine. We can talk red wine as well. So I won't rush through it, but I will get through it, and then I will welcome him on. Today, a little bit more serious, but I think a topic that I was inspired to write about and to talk about because of my guest. So, as you know, my guest today is CVS Health's Chief Marketing Officer, Norm De Greve. And, I will tell you that he told me that one positive that has come from COVID has been that his family has never been closer. He's definitely one of the lucky ones. The truth is that the isolation has been terribly hard on so many people. Loneliness for so many people has had taxing effects on both physical and mental health that has unfortunately translated into physical abuse and even suicide. When the CDC carried out a survey this summer, it found that 1 in 10 of the 5,400 respondents had seriously considered suicide in the previous month, about twice as many who had thought of taking their lives in 2018, so a doubling. For young adults aged 18 to 24, the proportion was an astonishing 1 in 4. Now, no one quite knows the long-term implications on both the economic and psychological costs of COVID, except that there is a long-lasting hangover in store. Wait a second. Isn't this the show about hope, positivity, and optimism? Well, it is, but to quote Danone's CMO Manos Spanos on last week's show, get yourself a cup of tea when dealing with bad news, where T stands for transparency, explanation, and action. Being honest with ourselves and each other during these tough times is an absolute necessity. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not have any of the answers. Don't feel weak to admit you're weak. Get strength and resolve from knowing that we are all going and growing through this together. But perhaps the real growth and behavior change has to come not from the people giving the bad news, but from those receiving the bad news. As much as we might not like to hear it, as much as we'd like to sweep it under the rug, avoid it, run away from it, pretend it doesn't exist, we can't. We need to face it head on and provide real, tangible, and meaningful support. Emotional, physical, psychological, and yes, if we can, financial as well. It begins with connection and the assurance you are not alone. And on a personal note, I hope Corona TV and the Corona TV community is playing its part in helping keeping even one person's head above water. Well, someone who is definitely a man that can talk to that hope, that positivity, that optimism is my guest today. And let me give you a little bit of background on Norm. As the CMO for CVS Health, Norm is responsible for developing and implementing the marketing strategy to grow the business with consumers and strengthen the CVS Health brand. He has been recognized by Fast Company as one of the 100 most creative people in business. I apparently was 101 on that list. So close. PR Week as one of the 50 most influential people in health, and The Internationalist as one of the most inspiring marketers of the 21st century. Plus, Ivan Pollard yesterday says he's awesome. Prior to joining CVS Health, Norm was president of the Boston and Detroit offices of Digitas. In his 14 years there, he helped grow the company into a world leader in marketing and developed a number of its offerings. And prior to joining Digitas, Norm worked in management consulting, venture capital, and starting new ventures. Well, now he's starting a new venture, which is being a guest on Corona TV. So let's welcome him on. But first, let's figure out which one we want to welcome him. Let's bring him on here first. Hey, Norm, how's it going?
Hi, how's it going? Good.
Okay,
Great.
Should we try the other one too? Except
I think if we can get the other one to work, it will be better.
All right. So this is live troubleshooting. All right. So I'm going to remove you on this one and then bring you. Okay. Now we just have to unmute you. So let's see. So you're muted on this one. Should I just be the voice of Norm? Hoe gaat het? Dank je wel.
Wait a second. Heel goed.
Heel good. Okay, so just lower the volume slightly. As I said, we're doing live tech checks.
How's that?
It's great. I mean, you were just so excited to be on the show that dit gaan heel goed. Dank je wel.
Dank je wel. Alsjeblieft.
Yeah, so listen, I came from South Africa. Pretty much the only benefit for me of Afrikaans was being able to swear in Afrikaans, talk to Dutch masters like yourself, and talk about my kids when they were in front of me to my wife. That's it. All right, so let's have a drink. Let's celebrate. Do you know what happened? How the camera came back online?
Yeah, I figured out that. Are you hearing me twice?
No, hearing you.
I figured out that I had to give Google permission to get into my camera and microphone.
Right, because it's all about giving Facebook and Google more permission, right?
Yeah.
So now, okay, wait.
There was no problem.
No,
everything's good.
Everything's great. All right, cheers.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Cheers.
So I hear a little bit of an echo. Can you hear that echo as well?
I cannot.
So that is interesting.
Please stand by. Hang on.
It's fine. It's 5 o'clock. We're chilling out. We're relaxing.
This is going to be great. So everyone should just hang on a sec. And Joseph, that was quite an introduction, by the way. There's so much in that to talk about. But do you still hear an echo?
Only when I'm talking. So I can hear weird.
I don't hear an echo when you talk.
Is your phone still on?
I'm going to shut it entirely off.
No, I mean, is the connection still on?
No.
All right. Well, I just hear myself twice. Maybe this is my sign to actually talk even less than I normally talk and just let you do all the talking.
I don't know. You had so many interesting things to say in that introduction. I could talk about lots of them.
All right. Well, listen, let's do this. First of all, everybody watching right now, as long as you don't hear my echo, because I can still hear myself echoing, it doesn't matter. But let's get into some of the comments. First of all, let me give you a background that I think you would. I'll give you a couple of choices. We can go with, well, this one's useless because it just says CVS Health. So let's go with that one. You like that one?
That one. I like it.
All right. So Norm, we've got a bunch of people that are tuning in to say hi to you. Michael Sharp.
Oh, Michael Sharp. Yeah. He's been a great partner.
Michael Sharp and I used to work together. In fact, in my last job, which was 2002, was at Shy Day.
Oh.
And we worked on digital together. He was amazing. And then who else is here as well? Well, Jan, one of our regulars, said, cheers, what a show.
Okay.
And we've got Tom Morris. We've got Steve Garfield, who's giving a little bit of a dunkier.
Yeah, nice.
Bob says he may still be on his phone too. But you said no, you're not on your phone.
I am going to turn my phone power entirely off, and that will solve that problem.
Adam Keats said it's gone, but that means he can't hear me, but I can hear myself twice. Steve Garfield said we're big fans of the restaurant. What does he mean by that? Not really sure what he meant there. I think Bob said your other device is streaming too, but who knows? Is it possible that there's another browser open?
There is no other browser open. There's nothing open.
All right.
Let me do that. Okay, there was another StreamYard. Is that better?
Let's see. No, I'm still hearing myself, but it's weird. It doesn't matter. We'll keep going. It just happens. All right. So Norm, let's get to know you a little bit. Let's find out some facts that maybe some people don't know. Hopefully no one knows these facts about you. The first one, of course, which I think we've alluded to, is your Dutchness. You are first generation to grow up in the US, family originally from the Netherlands.
I am. 500 years my family is in the Netherlands.
Wow.
My parents met here, both Dutch, and I have grown up mostly in the States, a few years in the UK, but mostly in the States as a first generation kind of figure. I'm a child of immigrants, as many people are.
As am I. Well, except for the fact that I immigrated myself. So let me ask you a question relating to Dutch mastery of marketing. Why is it just me? But why are there so many? Is there something in the drinking water, maybe in the Netherlands and in Belgium, that produces such top tier marketers and leaders? Because there's so many people, right? Chris Burgrave from Belgium, Martin Albarda, who wrote Zero with me. What is it about the Dutch education and even the culture that generates, I think, a unique type of marketing specialist and leader?
Well, you probably know some of this, having grown up in a similar community, but I think that there's tolerance, and tolerance drives creativity. Cultures that are much more conservative, quote unquote, or traditional, quote unquote, it's another way of saying we know the right way, whereas the Dutch are kind of very open and very tolerant. And so I think people are free to explore their ideas and their beliefs in a way that's that's helpful and gets people to do more creative things. So I think that's it. I also my experience has been that the Dutch are at least the ones I know, are they love a good argument. They're very communicative. They love to discuss topics, and I think in a way that takes you to a humanness and a human connectivity that inspires marketing, because marketing at its core is really connecting a company to people in a way that they care about.
Oh, I really love that, and I love this idea of tolerance drives creativity. And yes, they are very challenging and respectfully argumentative.
Yeah.
And it's great because there's a lot of argumentativeness in our space without that respect that I think they need to work together. The ability to say, what's the old saying, which is don't hate the player, hate the game. But the other one is attack the idea, don't attack the man, attack the idea.
Yeah, it's something we could use more of in society today.
I'm telling you, maybe we can amend the rules that someone from the Netherlands can become the president. Just saying.
Well, I was born here, so I can. I'm in the running.
Oh wow! Well, Can I be on your campaign? Are you looking for a digital?
You can. It just seems like a bit of an awful job, but
I know.
But I can guarantee you this: when I'm 74 or 78, there's 0.0 chance that I will want to be president.
And with a 95% margin of error, I'll take it. Those are good. Hades says tolerance promotes creativity. That is definitely a fantastic, takeaway already. And Adam was saying that was about the echo. I'm here for a flu shot and cure for COVID. Well, I know CVS has a flu shot. I'm not sure about the cure for COVID, but we're working on that, aren't we?
We are. We're doing a lot of the COVID testing today. about 70% of all the COVID testing happening in retail in the U.S. And, when the vaccine is ready, we'll be ready to help with that as well. And hopefully that'll be ready, soon.
Oh, we certainly do hope that. All right, so let's discover something else about you, and I think this is a very relevant one because my soliloquy spoke about people being isolated and loneliness and being disconnected. Well, one of the most important things that helps mental health is physical health, and so what we found out about you is that you're a bit of a mountain biker. So this is an action shot. I actually had a camera in one of the trees and found out about you that you're actually on track to ride 1,000 miles on your mountain bike this year. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I love it. I live right next door, and that actually looks a lot like the bike that I've ordered. Anyway, I've ridden 1,000 miles. I live near a mountain bike park, which is great. I can go there in the morning before work or after work. Kind of just depends on the light, but. It's something I couldn't have done before I was working from home. I just was too busy. So I go out on the weekends once in a while, but now I go out, 3 or 4 times a week. And, it's just a great way to relieve stress, get out in the nature, by the way. There's a good stats about, the amount of, how good it is for you to be in nature a few hours a week. And, you go out there, you hear the birds, you see the trees, you see the leaves, you're reminded of the bigger picture, and I think it's good for us.
So I actually, unfortunately, a bit of a niggly hip-related injury, if you're asking me where does it hurt, it's in that region. But that's actually the title of Norm's keynote at the ANA. But I worked out in the first 4.5 months of sheltering in place that I had run further distance than I'd driven.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. And so I started running 3 times a week, running between 60 and 70 miles a month before I got injured. But honestly, as I've told people, I don't know what I would have done without that release and that exercise.
Yeah, we need it. We all need it. And even the days that I think I don't want to do it, I'm reminded that there's never been a day that I say I wish I hadn't done it. So,
of course, one of the things that you mentioned was that you didn't do it, couldn't do it, in the pre-COVID days when you were going to an office. Where do you see, we've had a lot of discussions on Corona TV with previous guests about the future of work and the future of virtual. There is no, my attack has not attack, but, I've focused on the commute. I don't have a problem with an office, but it's the commute that is just such a waste of time, for people that have to spend 2 to 3 hours every day. Where do you see it netting out? And obviously you're privy to certain conversations within the company. Where would you like it to settle in terms of the balance between at work, at home, somewhere else, how we collaborate, how we contribute professionally?
Yeah, I think I've kind of had an evolving opinion on this. When we first started working from home, I was super excited. Actually, probably when we first started working at home, I was super worried that we wouldn't be as productive. I quickly realized we were even more productive, and I was really excited. And I think what's happened more recently is I'm missing a bit of the human connection that I'm just not getting as much from a web interface or something like this. And so my ideal is, to be with the people that are important for what I do in person, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I think that will fundamentally change how we use the space we have. And, there's a lot of talk about the future of work, and I think there's probably a lot of good thoughts in there, but I think that the thing that will drive most of the change is less of a future forward-leaning perspective on the future of work and more of the accounting department, who will realize that the cost per connected employee on a web interface is less than 10% the cost of space for them in an office building. And I think that's just gonna change things dramatically. I mean, nobody really wants to pay the real estate cost. And even in my scenario, in which I say it'd be good to be connected 1 or 2 days a week, well, that means multiple people can share the same space because they're not all there at the same time. And we need space that's different. It's about connectivity. It's about interaction, collaboration versus having an office, which will just seem like a thing of the past. And let me just say one other thing. Can you imagine having been like this for however many months now, and then walking back in and having to wear a tie with the same people you've been talking to in a t-shirt or polo shirt? I mean, I just don't think that that's going to happen. It would just feel so weird to me. Like, what are we all doing? We're like all putting on Halloween costumes to go to work?
Yeah, that is weird, which is why, I'm wearing my version of my tie, and I'm not going to change it. But in all seriousness, it is interesting. It's not just showing up at the office. It's even the dress code. And I love the angle that you brought, which I hadn't actually considered before, which is maybe the decision is going to rest with the bean counters. And the people looking at spots and dots and dollars and cents, and it shouldn't, because I think, we're marketers. So I always used to joke to say I'm a marketer. I only know how to spend money, not earn it. But, marketing is very different today. But hopefully that decision doesn't rest with, with a real estate and a financial decision, because that would further dehumanize, whatever is left of this, interconnectedness between us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll take whatever way it gets us there, as long as I can feel connected to my team and the people I work with, and I can spend the majority of my week at home. Whatever way it takes to get there, I'll go.
All right. Well, I'll be there with you. Lori is here.
Lori Magno. We used to work together. She's great.
She just said Norman.
Yeah. Look at that vote. She's very
Storman Norman.
Yeah, that's right.
And actually, Tom asks he's our resident philosopher, and he asked the question, what will we do with all the suits in our closet?
I know. Cut them up into, I don't know, pillows? I don't know.
Donate them?
I don't know. Do you want a plaid pillow?
Donate
them as
maybe?
Stuffing in a sleeping bag? I mean, hopefully I'll never wear a suit again.
So, look, we were obviously already on the track to dressing down, not wearing ties. Maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe it's actually wearing a tie above the belt, and then below just continue to wear shorts and flip-flops. I don't know.
I think people should just be comfortable. I think you should plot on a graph the stock market growth and value creation of companies that don't wear ties against those who do wear ties, and I think it'll give you a pretty clear indication of what you should do.
Well, I would have to say, if I'm being a little bit, it's a very good segue, that companies that probably wear ties religiously and will institute ties are companies that are built to suck. And look, I very rarely will reference my book, but in this case, I decided that I wanted to do a reading. So may I do a reading for you?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think I've actually done a reading on the show. This is chapter 12 on corporate citizenship, and page 200. In September 2014, CVS Health became the first national retail pharmacy chain to stop selling tobacco products in their stores. CVS did this because it, quote, conflicted with our purpose of helping people on their path to better health. When Don Draper had his midlife crisis and his come to Jesus moment in AMC's hit show Mad Men, he took a stand. When CVS did something similar by turning its back on a sure thing like addiction, I'll bet many looked at them as if they were booking a one-way ticket to the funny farm. They would have been wrong, foolish, possibly, brave, certainly, but not mad. This wasn't CVS purpose. That's just PR speak. This was a universal pledge on a shared mission, together with responsible and concerned citizens of this small planet. It was a concerted effort to suck less, literally in reference to those cancer sticks, and at the same time, a resilient and compelling corporate commitment to survival. So,
yep, that's awesome. Love that. So good.
Kudos to you.
Can the rest of your book measure up to that?
No, the rest of the book sucks, but those two paragraphs. But, you know, bravery and courage, a spine, you don't see that across the board from a corporate standpoint, and even in terms of brand stand, right? Brands taking stands. But you guys did that in 2014, and certainly I noticed, and a lot of people noticed. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about bravery and courage, and taking a stand in today's challenging, turbulent times.
Well, I think the way you described it was really right. We are still a business, and so we do want to take a stand. But others have described purpose as profitably improving the lives of citizens and communities, and I think that's a good way to think about it. So taking a stand in 2014, getting out of tobacco, there was one thing that we knew for sure, which was that we were going to lose $2 billion in revenue. That was guaranteed. The hope was that people would see us as more of a healthcare company and would therefore do more business with us. This is partly with consumers, of course, but it was also with the B2B side of our business, which does a lot of work with health insurers and the C-suites of many, many companies on the pharmacy benefit side. And you know, even on the investor side, what you saw was, you know, there was a worry, as you just described, right, that that the Wall Street would say that, wow, the near-term profits are going down, I'm going to sell this stock. And we didn't have that reaction. In fact, you know, this was announced in Q1 of 2014. Completed at the end of 2014, and by July 2015, the company hit its all-time high in stock price. And I think that what's in that is the power of the human connection and doing the right thing, because everybody knew somebody who was affected by tobacco. Everybody did. And so when they saw a company taking a stand, not only did they see a company that was committed to its purpose and willing to stand out from the crowd, but they also saw a cause that they thought many others would also see and would wanted to support. And so it was certainly a brave and bold move. You know, you had to say at the time, you know, people had to say, well, you know, a year from now, either things will be good or some of us might not be here, you know, but it worked out well.
You know, one of the things that you wanted to talk about when we were chatting backwards and forwards over the last few days was what you called this triple threat to our way of life, right? Which is COVID, climate change, and income inequality. I mean, these are tough, turbulent, challenging times to be in business. But I've got to say that I think these are exciting times to be in marketing if we choose to lead, and if we choose to do something about this triple threat, standing up, taking a stand, and leading. So I'd like to kind of get your sense as to, I mean, you took that stand as a brand once, but now with this triple threat, you know, it's not even this idea of, you know, as Yogi said, if you come to a fork in the road, take it. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah, it is. I think that two of those three problems are going to end up, climate change is a marketing problem. COVID, when we get to the vaccine, will be a marketing problem. Income inequality is maybe more of a structural problem. And the reason that one is so important to us as a country is, you know, anyone who's running a business that's targeted at most of America would probably like more people in America to have the money to buy stuff. And when you separate the incomes dramatically, that hurts your prospects as a business. It also causes people to feel disenfranchised. It causes a lot of problems. And I think that if you want to have a healthy economy, you need to make sure that everybody feels like they have the opportunity to succeed. You don't have to have everyone succeed. You don't have to have everyone level, but you certainly want to make sure that everyone feels like they could do it if they wanted to. And I'm not sure that most people feel that way today. To go back to the other two, climate change. It's a marketing problem. How do you get people to believe that climate change is an issue? That's a marketing problem. And I can tell you that there are some incredibly smart marketers working on that exact problem. It is incredibly hard to get people to care, to really care, to change their behavior and care. But there are ways to get there, and so they're working on it. And then when we get to COVID, you know, COVID. The problem with COVID is that it's right now we seem to be in a kind of trading off. Either you have a strong economy, somewhat at least, maybe less unemployment and low positive rates in COVID, or you have high positive rates in COVID, or you have low positive rates in COVID and a bad economy. And those positive rates in COVID are affecting the African American community at a disproportional rate. They're affecting lower income communities at a higher rate. The job loss is affecting middle America and lower America at a much higher rate. And so these things are a problem. But when you get to the vaccine, right now you have 1 in 3 Americans that doesn't plan to take it. Sometimes that actually spikes up to 1 in 2. And if you get to a vaccine that's, you know, say 70, 75% effective, with that sort of take rate, only 2/3 of people taking it, you don't get to herd immunity. And what that means is that this economic problem that we have continues. And none of us want that. But that's the situation we're in. So we can all wait for when there is a vaccine, which would be great. That's a big milestone. But it is certainly not the end of the battle. We, at that point, have to convince enough people to get the vaccine that we can get to herd immunity. And that is what will get our economy back on track.
There's something so interesting about the way that you said that 2 out of these 3 threats are marketing problems. I could not agree more with you, and that actually demonstrates that as smart as we are, we don't need. I mean, the ad council are fantastic, but when you look at the brain trust of agency people, of brand marketers, the association itself, we have the ability to tell not just not spin a story, but be able to double down on a powerful, authentic narrative of truth, educate, inspire, but most importantly, provoke behavior change. It's all the things we do. Yeah. So why aren't we doing it? And what could we do to be able to educate? You know, one of the things I'd said, Norm, early into the process was, why aren't we seeing brands just take their advertising, you know, their invested media dollars that were already, you know, sunken, and just dedicate that space to a simple message, even the ad council message, which is wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. That's an easy thing to do. What else can we do as marketers, you know, to solve these 2 problems?
Well, I think we have to. I do think that we need to concentrate our efforts and not have a lot of fragmented efforts out there across companies. And, you know, in some ways, the ad council can play that role. But we have to activate in a way that's probably very different than we've activated in the past. It's simply what we're dealing with at the moment is facts, confusion, and opinion and beliefs. And so I think that for the for an entity to say, here are the facts and here's what you need to do, simply won't be effective enough. I think you've really got to employ significantly different tactics to get people to believe. And, a bad example of this is exactly what happened in social media around the last election. But you can say lots of things about that, what happened. But one thing you must say is that it seems like social media is pretty effective at changing opinions. And so I think the question is, how do we learn from those tactics to change opinions from people who aren't actually as interested in, well, what does the science say? They're a little more interested in a belief system, or they're confused because of what they're seeing online. I mean, actually, there are points at which you see stuff online. A normal person would get confused because they don't know what's true or not true.
There's something very powerful in that insight, which is, how do we counter the fragmentation of messages and messaging? How do we unite and unify as almost not the Justice League of America, but the brand league of America? What would happen, the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, in this new capitalism or evolution of capitalism or conscious capitalism, or taking a stand like CVS did. I wonder if there's something very compelling and powerful that says, if we just all pool our efforts and recognize the existential threat that is climate change, and what could we achieve if we just all came together? Even, we put down our arms, we put down our competitive weapons, and we just said, let's all focus on being victorious in this war, and then we can resume all the squabbling, politically, or even competitiveness professionally. What might we achieve?
Yeah, I think that I think you can do both at the same time. I think you have to believe that having a healthy planet is and the right income for people, and having people safe from COVID is good for everyone's business. And I can't imagine that you could be in a position in corporate America where you're doing pretty well. I mean, and compared to the rest of the world, you're doing amazingly well, where you don't feel some obligation to ensure that the community and society in which you operate is also doing well, because it will fuel your business. And so I think that you can get a lot of companies together to focus on these issues. And, it actually gets to a little bit, we're talking about tobacco and purpose and that sort of idea. I think that, actually purpose is probably more important for your employees. And, people are looking to join companies that represent the values that they have. And I think that companies have an obligation to represent the values to build a stronger society comprehensively. And so I think when you get to purpose, companies that are very purpose-driven tend to attract more motivated, more engaged people, because they want to be part of that and improving the company and being part of a bigger thing to improve society.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Two interesting questions that came from people that are watching right now, which I just wanted to, well, first of all, Lori, I think, came up with something that really, really is, I think she nailed it. She said, do you mean unsegment the audience? But I think that's the thing. How do we actually unsegment? How do we take the left and the right, the red and the blue, and how do we actually do the opposite of what we've been trained to do as marketers, which is to divide and conquer? How do we unite?
I think you got to realize that the world's not, the U.S. is not, any of those divisions are not as black and white as the media would like you to believe. So within the Republican Party, there are people who think a certain way. Within the Democratic Party, there's people who think a certain way, and they're not all homogenous. And so if I want to convince you of something, and you see me primarily as part of the opposing party, it actually doesn't matter at all what I say. If I want to convince you of something and you see me as also in your belief system, then I have impact. And so I think that what I would say is it's not necessarily unsegmenting. It's not giving in to traditional segmentation, because they tend to obfuscate the granular, the kind of like audiences below.
All right, so with my echo, hearing myself twice this whole, I don't even know we'll figure it out. But one of the things with Corona TV, Norm, is we live in a manic depressive existence with COVID, right? The highs are super high, the lows are super low. So we go from very serious, intense to sublime and ridiculous. And that's fine too. So first of all, to kind of put a little bow on that conversation, this is the quote, if you've watched the show, where I basically try and stump my guest. So who said this? When purpose meets action meets activism, you have corporate citizenship.
You asking me? You're asking all the guests.
I'm asking you and the guest for today.
Well, there's only one person that I can think of. It doesn't mean it's him, but he is an incredible business person, which is Paul Pullman from Unilever.
Well, I was going to say thank you very much, because it was actually me. It was it was the very next line in the reading. This is just designed to see who'd read the book or not. But in all seriousness, I was having a little bit of fun. But the message is a serious one, right? Purpose, action, activism. This is what it is to be a corporate citizen, and I think CVS, the CVS Health brand, is a corporate citizen, taking a stand, leading by example, being brave, being courageous, and inspiring us. And certainly as a customer of yours, I continue to be inspired.
Oh, good, great, that's nice.
So now let's go to the to a different topic, and then we'll wind down with a sneak preview of your keynote.
Okay.
One of the things that interested you was professional sports.
Yeah.
And what has happened to professional sports. And I think your point of view is that there's just something missing without the crowd.
I mean, they're just not exciting, or not as exciting for sure. My son is 10 years old, 11. It just turned 11 yesterday, actually. Into baseball like no one's business. We watch the Red Sox all the time. And I just have a really hard time getting as excited about it as I used to. And I think the obvious one is you miss the crowd. It's just not as exciting to not have the crowd there. And the second is there's no one to talk to about the stuff that you saw. So you're in your house, right? And so you like the fuel that it was giving you, it's just like, you can always respect a great play. You can enjoy it for what it is, but it's just lost a tremendous amount of traction in our lives. It's not to say we don't like the sports. It's just to say that the way that we're watching them today, I think, what happens when rapid change, you can see this in the school systems too. In rapid change, what we try and do is take the old model and jam it into the new model, right? So what did we do in sports? We put up paper cutouts of people in stadiums, right? Like, we're still in the stadium with paper cutouts. And I think that, I love it. That's exactly right. Like, how exciting is that? Maybe I didn't notice. I like the guy taking the one away. That's great.
well, because so what I thought I would do is show you a few of these, a few images. And I don't know. Well, first of all, let me just comment on what you said. Agreed. I think what this showed us is how we watching at home needed people in the stand.
Absolutely.
And it's the most beautiful way to think about the fact that when you attend a live game, you're actually doing it for the people at home.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's not just about having the hot dog and the Cracker Jacks and peanuts and,
Yeah.
But I think there's some creativity as well. So when people started putting these cutouts, there were some people that, I think were a little mischievous. I think someone put Osama bin Laden and clearly those were removed. But I thought I would show you a few. And from a creative standpoint, I mean, this was a way of having season ticket holders feel connected. Here's another one, which I'll show you, which is everybody with masks on.
I know. Was that a real picture from a stadium?
Yeah, these are all real pictures.
Oh my God.
I
mean, doesn't that just, like, even compared to the last one, doesn't that, I mean, it just shows you how the masks make them all feel more separated from each other, and you like it even less.
Okay, well, what about this one? This was at the Denver Broncos game where they had, just basically the entire cast of South Park with masks. Does that make it better or worse?
About South Park. That is nice, but it's still weird. Here's what I don't, I wonder if they considered, and I don't understand all the dynamics that they have to consider, but like, one of the things that could have been really awesome is to go play in some amazing small ballparks around the country. Like, like not even AAA, like even less, just like, here are the Red Sox playing the Yankees at like, someone's great town field. I mean, that could have been awesome, right? I'm just saying there's a different way to think about what you're doing than how do you take the model from the past and put it on the future, and that's kind of what I think we did. Hopefully we're going to learn something about that.
Adam said that was brilliant, promoted the season premiere, which I didn't even realize was actually happening. and then just two more innovations, which I think have been interesting. English Premier Football, soccer, they used the actual AI-powered EA FIFA, PlayStation, Xbox engine to simulate the crowd.
Let's see it.
Including, I wish I had that today, but I'll send it.
That's a cool idea, though. That feels like leaning into the future a lot more.
I've been watching that, and along with that, when there's a foul or a yellow card, you hear the crowds booing, and it's all automated through just AI. Okay, one more for you, which I think you'll like is, so in the bubble, the basketball bubble.
Yeah.
Not only have they been wrapping the whole court with digital, but now fans have the ability to cheer or activate cheers by using a button on an app.
Yeah.
So if they're actually present, they can actually change the image, and they can make a noise. So they're not just there, they're actually actively there.
Yeah, I think basketball, of the games I've watched, basketball has done it the best. Now, in all fairness, they have a much smaller space that they need to manage, so they have an advantage that way. But I do like what they've been doing and how they've been using the screens and monitors to do interesting stuff. And actually, what you just said is a really cool idea. Is like, how do we get the images to reflect people in actual involvement?
And Tom says, by the way, the idea of small ballparks is genius, sheer genius. We bow to Norm.
That's very nice.
I bow to you as well.
It would just be awesome.
But I think again it comes down to, like, if there is a takeaway today as we segue into our A&A portion, it is that marketing can solve any problem.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not every problem, but many problems. If you believe in marketing like we believe, then we can solve it through the power of creativity.
Yeah. I think we can. Have a big impact.
So people that are going to the A&A are in for a treat, because there are a whole bunch of incredible keynote speakers, and none more so than Norm De Greve.
You said my last name very well, by the way.
De Greve.
Well, I think if you put on your real Dutch is De Greve, but I think
Oh, De Greve, I can do that.
I say De Greve in the States.
Now, from now on, I'm going to call you Norm De Greve.
Perfect.
So Norm will be keynoting on Wednesday, October 21st at 3:12 p.m. precisely. I know. And the topic is, where does it hurt? So I could show you where it hurts, but this is a family program. What do you mean by where does it hurt, Norm?
Now, you told me you were going to describe where it hurts.
Well, hold on a second. I think my camera is. How do I disconnect the camera? You know what? All I can say is I'm very glad they developed a word called glute, because that sounds interesting. But Norm, tell us about your keynote.
Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about is how our purpose, taking that act of tobacco, everybody knows about that, but what they don't know is how it fundamentally changed CVS Health and took us into a new stage of growth, and in a major, major way. And at its core was our purpose, helping people on their path to better health, and empathy, really understanding and feeling the pain points of consumers in health, and then developing things that could help them on their path to better health, and also getting out of things like a few things that we did get out of even subsequent to tobacco, to also make sure our stores were a healthier place. That act of getting out of tobacco, I think it's used a lot to talk about, but as an example for others to say to a brand, you should do something because your customers are buying based on purpose. May be true, but I'm telling you, most importantly, it changes the engagement of all of your employees. And when you change the engagement of all of your employees, you change the level of innovation, you change the number of actions your company takes towards its purpose, and it changes the whole business. And in the process of doing all of that, we went from essentially, a pharmacy-dominated business, with pharmacies in all the corners, to what we are today, which is the largest healthcare company in America. And so, but it was driven by that act. I think it just had so much impact on who we are and what we think about and what we create and what we work on. That is what changed the company and drove the $100 billion of growth over the last 6 years.
And of course, what I love about the story is that, and it shouldn't have to, but when it does, meaning the stock price, that is the ability to say, we believed in something bigger, we stayed the course, and we were rewarded medium to long term.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, I think, it's also thinking about how you, success and failure. When you define success as making a hard to use healthcare system easier to use, you will only fail when you stop. When you define success as does your individual program or widget work, it could fail any day. But that's not how we define success. We define success on making meaningful progress to rebuilding healthcare around people. And so that keeps us going. We can try 15 different things, and if one succeeds, we're on our way.
It's fantastic because, of course, we all talk about experimentation tactically, but this is experimentation philosophically, strategically, morally, ethically, culturally, and it all comes together to create, a company that can survive and thrive. Norm, I wish I'd heard you twice instead of myself twice the whole day. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But I really loved the conversation because, to me, this was the ultimate hope for marketing. Coming together, unifying around a common enemy, a common cause, a common goal, and realizing that marketing can do anything if it's applied correctly with heart, and with that spirit and that drive to get to a better place. And that's what I think you guys have done, and I think that's what you're doing.
Yep, it can change the world.
It certainly can. Well, Norm, we're going to head over to the Zoom after show for a little bit, and if I can hear myself twice in the Zoom after show, I'm out. I'll make you the host, and I'll go drink alone. But it really has been a pleasure. I want to give you the final word, and then we'll head on over to the Zoom after show.
You know, my only final word would be go out and make a difference for people, make a difference for your community. You can do this to your company, you can do it lots of ways, but we need to leave the world in a better place than it is today.
Well said, and I will be back tomorrow with Essie Bracey from Unilever. Take care, everyone, and see some of you at the Zoom after show.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Corona TV with your host, multiple author and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. Corona TV is the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. The after show on Zoom starts right now at bit.ly/Corona TV After Show. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show at CoronaTV.show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, text Corona TV to 66866 or visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.